Hey everyone, why do I have an NES set up right here on the bench, you ask? Well, because I just got this, and at first you'll think, oh cool, Bubble Bobble 2, you know, blah blah blah, big whoop. Well, yeah, it's just a game. But biggest reason I want to show this one is because it's not a legit game. I just recently got this. I wasn't really like looking very hard for it or anything, but I happened to go to a game store and asked if they had Bubble Bobble 2 by any chance, and they did, but they were asking over $300 for it. And at first I was like, what? I had no idea it went for that much. I mean, I had played this game when I was a kid, and it was, it was pretty fun, whatever. I was expecting, like, to pay maybe 30, 40, maybe $60 at a used game shop for something like this at the most. A lot of games go for a lot cheaper, but I was kind of blown away at the fact that it was so much. And come to find out, yeah, that's about what it runs for. So I had gone on eBay, and that's where I found out that a lot of people sell it for about that price. And I came across a listing where they were selling it for about 22 some odd dollars or something like that, shipped. And I mean, I pretty much knew right away it's not gonna be a legit game for sure. But I bought one anyways because I had always been kind of interested in looking at one of these repro carts or whatever. Except that this isn't really labeled as a repro or anything. I think they're kind of trying to pass it off as being kind of legit. But there's several things about it that kind of give it away. So let's compare it to a regular cart or one of the original NES carts, and we'll see what differences there are. So here's my little stack of games that I currently own. Well, with the exception of this one. This one I actually borrowed from a friend. I don't really have a whole ton of these. I don't really go out of my way to buy them. Like if I come across them at like a garage sale or swap meet or whatever, and it's pretty cheap, I might like pick one up. Some of these I actually got with that NES that I bought there. I got it for a pretty good deal at swap meet, and it came with some of these games. So, and it's actually in a pretty good condition and everything. So that was cool. But anyway, so let's take Tetris here and compare it to this Bubble Bobble cart. First glance, not much different. They actually looked pretty similar. But if we look at the edge here, where those clips are, we can see how the Tetris one actually fills in that little gap quite nicely. This one here has huge gaps. Get the lighting a little better here, maybe we can see it. So we can see that this Bubble Bobble 2 cart has pretty big gaps right there in those holes. And also, I hadn't noticed that before. I don't think any other carts have that. And no, they don't. So that's I don't know if any other legit cartridges have this little gap, but this one for sure does. I don't know if that's gonna. Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's anything behind that label there. So that's one thing that kind of gives it away as being pretty cheap. In the back, you can tell that this label here, the non-legit one, is looks kind of faded here. Like the printing's pretty terrible, and it's also not very well aligned in there inside of that square. It's missing the NES logo right there in that square. The screws they use in this are just little regular Phillips screws, where most legit cartridges I've seen either have these like inverse Torx one, or they'll have these sort of flathead ones. I don't know if you'll be able to see it there. Let me see if I have a cart with that same type of label that's on the back of. No, I don't. See, all these other ones, the label on the back is like this big font and only like a few things on there. This actually looks like it might have come from a different, well, it does say 1985 Nintendo, so there must have been some carts that had that sort of a label on that just copied. But none of the ones I have here have that particular label, so no, I don't know. It's probably, yeah, just been copied off of a different one. But another thing about this label, the Bubble Bobble 2 label, is that the original label actually has the tetrode down here and some other stuff. I don't remember exactly what. So this one's been cut off, But I mean, other than that, if you were just to look at the label by itself, you probably couldn't tell too much that it was a fake one or a repro. Except this one doesn't go out of its way to say it's a repro cart. I've a little bit looked into repro carts, and some people that do repros like that, they'll kind of, they'll make the label purposely different in an attempt to, let people know that it is a repro. But they'll use legit cases for the most part that I've seen. So the build will, be pretty consistent. It's just the fact that it's got a different game, and then the label's been redone, but in a way that kind of lets you know that it is a repro. The edge connector down here, get some better lighting on there, you can see the gaps are pretty terrible right there in the case. If we look at an actual legit cart, you can see that there are no gaps whatsoever. The PCB just kind of, protrudes out of the opening there, but this one has really huge gaps on both sides, and on the top and bottom there you can partially see the board. And it's just, it's just all around really crappy. I haven't looked inside yet to see what they actually use in there. So before we turn it on, let's take it apart and see what it's inside, and then we'll try seeing if it even plays at all. I'm kind of hoping it does, but we don't know for sure. Alright, so we've got just these 2 Phillips screws here holding it in place. Hopefully when I open this up, it doesn't fall apart on me completely. Hopefully this plastic's not that cheap. Don't tell me they used the screw underneath here too. It feels like... Oh no, they didn't. Okay, I felt like something was kind of holding it there, but I guess it wasn't. And... yeah, so it looks like they've got this board made just specifically for making repros. You can see that there's actually quite a bit of stuff built into this board. There is there's pads for some very, very tiny chip right here in this corner. I don't know what that would be. It almost looks like it would be for like a chip on board type deal right there, because they're really tiny. It's not like that would be a small package, especially not with the way it's made. There's way more pins down here on the bottom than there are like on the top and the sides. That looks like it might be for a cap or something. This right here on the bottom, can't quite tell what it is. Let's get some macro action going on here in a little bit. These are some Winbond W27CO10s. So those would be, what, like a megabit, I think? Oh, there's a chip on board right there, right in the middle. So, not a ton of stuff here. We can see that there's a battery. Pads for a battery connector right there. This would probably be for like some RAM or something, possibly. A couple diodes there. Populated capacitor right there. That's about all she wrote for that side. Looks like her maybe got some resistors right here or something. Maybe for like some other options. Let's see what that small one there is. I'm betting it's probably either an EEPROM or a microcontroller or something. So there's that, and that is an Atmel Tiny 13A. That is, of course, a small 8-bit microcontroller, and no surprises, and that's kind of why I guessed that this would be a microcontroller, because as we saw on the other side, there's no security lockout chip, or the one that the NES needs to see in the cart for it to work. So I had a feeling that what they probably did is they programmed the microcontroller to take care of that function, since of course they're not going to be able to get any new ones, and trying to rip them out of games is probably a bit counterproductive, or I don't know. Especially since you're not just gonna go anywhere and buy these in a bunch, like bulk or anything. The solder job on that is pretty crappy, as you can see. They didn't really bother cleaning anything, so it's just all kind of spattered all over the place. These don't look as bad, but yeah, that one down right there is pretty terrible. And there's that other. There's the pads for that other chip on board. You can totally tell it's going to be for something chip on board, because the pad right there on in the very middle, the big square one, is hooked up to it kind of goes out, so that's probably going to be like a, I'm guessing it's going to be like a ground or something. And quite a few pins there. Let's see, we got 6 on the top, 5 on the sides, and looks like about maybe 10 on the bottom. Counting them, it looks like maybe 12. Yeah, there's about 12 pins right there on the bottom. Don't know exactly what they would have used that for. Maybe it was for like a memory controller or something. So the big question, does it even work? I don't know. Let's put it back together and we shall find out. This board actually fits inside of these little tabs right here that are molded into the plastic a bit tight. Like they didn't really size everything appropriately or anything. I have a feeling they probably put oh, it is one of these little locking tabs right there. So yeah, they probably did that because the plastic's probably so crappy. They just didn't want it to be too flimsy up there in that, on this edge. So let's put this back together here real quick. All right, moment of truth. Let's see. That is a pretty tight fit there. Like, it's got a bit of a hard time going in there. I don't remember it. No, see how this Mario Brothers 2 card just kind of easily just kind of slides in there. I could even probably like just push it in and it slides in. This one seems to be a bit fatter. I can't just push it in because it will not go in by itself. It's pretty, yeah, it's pretty snug in there. So let's see if this turns on. And white screen. I'm not too surprised by this because this NES tends to have a bit of a contact issue there. I think I have to give it a good cleaning. But let's try it with one of the original games first just to be sure, see if it turns on. Let's see. This might take some playing around with to get it to function properly. Yeah, I need to clean it. See how there's all kinds of graphical glitches. Let's try this again. See if we can, maybe if we kind of rub it back and forth a little bit on those contacts, maybe it'll kind of scrape them enough for it to work. Oh, that looks nice. It doesn't even say Tato. It says Toito. Did I see that correctly? Oh no, it does. Okay. Guess that was just part of its. There's no sound because I don't have a speaker hooked up to this. This monitor only has a composite input, so that's all I had. But that's the game I remember. So as far as the actual ROM goes, it's it is the actual game. So it's working. Yeah, so that's basically all they did, is they just took the ROMs and just put them in another PCB, like a repro PCB, but I mean the game's working fine. So, well, that was just kind of a for funsies thing. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And if like this kind of stuff, remember to thumbs up and subscribe if you want. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.